Okay. What about others? Praveen, Rajesh, Mohit.
Yes, sir.
Sir. Yes, sir, I can see.
Okay.
Yes, sir, we can.
Yeah, let me start the session. Okay, so in today's session, we'll try to focus on file upload, file download, and file preview related functionalities. So developing, one second. Developing SAP Fiori app for file upload, file download, and file preview functionalities by consuming OData service. Developing Fiori front-end app for file upload, file download, file preview by using backend OData service. So today we'll focus on we'll focus on front-end side. When we start OData development, we'll discuss how to create OData service to deal with these functionalities. Today's session focus will be on front-end side. We'll consume the existing service and we'll design the front end. But when we go for OData service development, there we will discuss how these functionalities are written in the backend. So at OData service level, there will be create stream method and there will be get stream method. This is at OData level. And at front-end Fiori level, or it can be UI5, whatever, there will be file uploader screen element and we can have button or a link screen element. Similarly, we can have another button or link screen element. So technically, create stream method at OData service level, it deals with file upload functionality. Create stream method at OData service level, we are going to implement file upload functionality. Get stream method at OData level, we are going to implement file download functionality. And the same thing, the same method will work even for file preview functionality. Same functionality will even work for file preview functionality. So at OData service level, these are the two methods we are going to implement when we start OData development topics. Create stream method, get stream method. Create stream method for file upload functionality, get stream method for file download, and the same functionality works for file preview functionality as well. But today we are going to focus on front-end side development, that is Fiori side development by using the existing service which contains these methods. So file uploader screen element has to be used in the front-end Fiori side, and on file upload action, by using this screen element on file upload action, we are going to trigger create stream method of OData service. File uploader screen element in the front end, we can use file upload action as one event handler. From that event handler, we can trigger create stream method of backend OData service. That means at backend level, create stream method gets executed and it completes the file upload functionality. But in the front end side, we have to use file uploader screen element. And we can use button or a link screen element on file download action. We can create one event handler. Example, file download action. So in this action, we are going to trigger get stream method of OData service. With file download action, that means from event handler, when user click on button or link, we can trigger event handler. That event handler can trigger get stream method of backend OData service. Get stream method of backend service will execute the file download functionality. Similarly, in the front end side, we can use button or a link. And here we can have file preview event handler. We can have file preview event handler. So from this file preview event handler, we can trigger again get stream method, and get stream method completes file preview functionality. That means that's nothing but file download. When you download a file, the same functionality will work even for preview purpose. Button or a link can be used. On file preview event handler, we can trigger again get stream method. Get stream method of OData service will execute the file preview functionality. So that means whatever functionality is written in get stream method, that gets executed again even for file preview. Code for file preview. We have to use iframe tag to display file content. So as of now, just remember this 5 lines. OData level 2 lines, front end level 3 lines. Just remember these lines. This should be on your fingertips. How to develop OData service from scratch level with these functionalities, we are going to discuss at OData development level in the coming days. We are going to use existing service which already contains these functionalities, and we'll focus on front end side as of today. So let me write step-by-step procedure. So this is like step 1. You can open Fiori project folder, you can open object view.xml file, and make sure that library is registered. Make sure that below library is registered. SAP UI Unified, that is one of the library. That library is required if you want to use file uploader screen element. So here we have already registered that earlier. But just to make you understand, let me take the screenshot here. In object view, long back, we have already registered one library, SAP UI Unified. SAP UI Unified, that's a library. And it is registered with Unified as a namespace. And this is a library which contains file uploader screen element class. So this is a library which contains file uploader class. For file uploader screen element. File uploader class is part of this library, and that class is used for file uploader screen element. So this is a library name. So you have to register this library. It's already registered, but make sure that it is available. We have done it long back. SAP UI Unified. Okay, just let me take this line. So make sure that this library is available. That is step 1. SAP UI Unified. Unified is a namespace we have used. Now for file upload, download, and file preview functionalities, we'll try to create one separate icon tab filter. You can create a separate view, or in the same view, you can create one new icon tab filter. In that icon tab filter content area, you can handle all these functionalities: upload, download, and preview. So in my case, let me create new icon tab filter with content area. Create new icon tab filter with content area. You are already aware of this. Okay, let me go. Icon tab bar contains collection of items as icon tab filter. Let me create content. For icon tab filter, let me use some text. Let me use some icon. SAP-icon. Let me save and run this. So this is an empty icon tab filter content area at this point of time. Okay, you can see there is empty content area. Inside new icon tab filter. So that is technically step 2. Now step 3. Step 3 is we have to create file uploader screen element, some buttons, and form container, etc. We have to create. So step 3 is inside icon tab filter, content area, create below screen elements. Inside icon tab filter, content area, create below screen elements. So what I'll do is I'll try to create one simple form. I'll take 2 simple forms. One is for input purpose, another is for file preview purpose. This is one of the simple form. This is for input for file uploader and for 3 buttons. And I'll create another form, a form container. I'll create another form. This is a form container. This is for displaying output of file preview. I'm taking this simple form as one of the container to display the content of a file when you perform file preview action. So just create an empty simple form. In this empty simple form at runtime through controller, we are going to attach the file so that that file content is displayed as file preview. This is purely for file preview purpose. The first form is for accepting input, file uploader, and 3 buttons. So for file preview purpose, create an empty simple form with some ID. For example, my form, provide some title. For example, file preview. You can use some layouts. So this is a second simple form just with an empty content area at this point of time. But at runtime through controller, on triggering file preview, we are going to attach the file content for file preview purpose. Let me repeat. On selecting file preview button, we will display file content as file preview inside this form. Very simple. Form is a container. So inside this form container, we are going to do that. So that's the purpose of this second simple form. Now, first simple form, let us create some input field, file uploader screen element, and 3 buttons. So first, let me create 3 buttons here. With some text, type, width, and press is the event. So let us create 3 buttons like this. Button text, first button file upload. Second button, let me use file download. Third button, file preview. Accept, reject, emphasized, the type of buttons. Blue color button, red color button, green color button. So for first button, press event, we will use file upload EH as an event handler. For second button, we can make file download EH as an event handler. Third button, we can make file preview EH as an event handler. So 3 buttons are created. Okay, let me check what happens here. Okay, you can see 3 buttons are created. File upload, file download, file preview. And file preview form container is also created here. Empty content inside file preview container. That's a form container here. Now 3 buttons are also generated. Now let me focus on input. First, let me take one label. So label text, let me make this as like enter user ID. For each file, I want to use one user ID, attach it to it. So let us take one input field here, some ID. Value, you can make it blank. Width. So this is an input field. When we attach the file content for file upload purpose, we'll try to take one unique user ID for each file. When you download or when you preview, you have to provide some user ID. So you will get the associated file content from that, from the backend service. Based on input user ID, we are going to get the file download, we are going to get file preview, and we are also going to upload the file content with one of the user ID. So for each file, there will be a user ID according to this scenario. That's the main point. When you attach a file or when you upload a file, when you download a file or when you preview a file, the user ID is required in this scenario to deal with file content for file preview, file download, and file upload. For that reason, I've taken one label and input field. Now let me take another label. This is like upload your file, something like that. Label, for example, upload your file. Now here we need to use the file uploader screen element. File uploader screen element, that is part of unified namespace. Unified namespace, from that you can use file uploader screen element here. File uploader is a class. That is a class from SAP UI unified library. You can see this. C is class. File uploader is a class from SAP UI unified library. So we are trying to use that file uploader. And for this file uploader screen element, provide some properties, for example, ID. ID, let me take my file upload, something like that. And there are some default properties. Let us provide those things. Send XHR, XML based HTTP request. You can make it true. And file attachment as XML based HTTP request. Just use that property as true. These are default options. Don't think too much about that. And use multi-part. You can use width for that file uploader screen element. Example 250 or 275 pixel, whatever. And there is one more property, upload on change. Upload on change. Let us make that property also true. And whenever file upload is completed, I want to display some message. So you can use one event handler for upload complete. Upload complete is an event name. Upload complete is an event name. For that, you can assign some event handler. From that event handler, you can display some message. Example, upload complete EH. So these are the screen element we are trying to use inside first simple form. Label with input field, label with file uploader. For file uploader, these are the properties we are trying to use. Upload complete is one of the event. On completing that upload functionality, it has to display some message for end user point of view. So you can assign one event handler like upload complete EH. From that, you can display some message. Or you can get the response from backend and display in the front end through this event handler. Okay, let me check what happens now. Okay, 275. There is some problem. I did not mention pixel, I think. Okay, 275 px pixel, or you can provide in terms of percentage. Let me run it again. Now you can see we are able to get this input screen element, upload your file, input screen element, and then there is a browse option. Browse option is enabled because of file uploader screen element here. Browse option for this input field is enabled just because of file uploader screen element. You can select the file and you can upload the file, or you can provide user ID. You can download the existing file, or you can preview the existing file. All those things can happen. But the main point here is browse option is enabled along with input field. That is because of file uploader screen element. You can browse and pick the file. You can browse and then pick the file. That is possible. So the screen is ready now, technically. Okay, let me take the screenshot. This is a screen we have created. So this is part of simple form. First simple form. This part of first simple form. It contains three things. And this is part of second simple form. But as of now, it is empty. We have reserved this second simple form for attaching the file content so that you can have file preview functionality inside this form container. As of now, it is empty. Now, what exactly we are going to do is, let me give some basic idea. From file upload button contains event handler. From that event handler, we are going to execute create stream method of backend OData service. File upload related event handler, ultimately we have to trigger create stream method of OData service. That's how we are going to plan. And file download, from file download button event handler, we are going to trigger get stream method of OData service. From file preview also, we are going to trigger get stream method of OData service. So from this event handler, file upload event handler, we have to trigger create stream method of OData service. File download event handler, we have to trigger get stream method of OData service. File preview also, we have to trigger get stream method of OData service. And don't forget, there is a file upload screen element here along with the browse option to pick the file. And for each file, we are attaching one user ID. Okay, so this is ready now. File download, file preview, and file upload. So ultimately, in the backend level, two methods are getting executed: create stream and get stream. But in the front end side, we are handling three functionalities: file upload, file download, and file preview. Front end side, three functionalities; back end side, only two functionalities are required. Because get stream method is executed twice according to this. File preview is not mandatory. If you want, you can use it. Okay, not only that, here in case of file preview, in file preview, we have created a form here technically. We have taken a form for file preview. So inside this form, we are going to make use of HTML iframe. This form technically will display HTML iframe. We're going to use HTML iframe tag. For that, we are going to supply the file content URL. For that, we are going to supply file content URL of OData service. OData service will get PDF file, or it can get text file, or BMP file, or it can be JPG file, video file, or it can be audio file, whatever. Doesn't matter. From backend OData service, we can get that file content through OData service. So that service file content URL you need to supply to HTML iframe, and HTML iframe tag will be used as part of front-end simple form container. So OData service, which is fetching this file content, contains file content URL. And file content URL will be supplied to HTML iframe. HTML iframe will be attached to this form container output. So this is how we are going to plan. So when user click on file preview, getStream method gets executed, and this OData service will fetch the file content. It can be PDF file, text file, BMP file, JPG file, whatever. It will fetch that file content, and that file content will have URL, and that URL we are going to attach to HTML iframe tag. HTML iframe tag will be attached to the simple form output content area. Then you can see the file content as file preview in this container. So that's our intention of this particular entire screen. So this is like I gave some overview now through this particular screenshot. Okay, let us implement the functionalities now, one by one. Okay, the screen is ready. So let me copy these lines, first form and second form. You can go inside icon tab filter, content area, and create all the below screen elements. So this is a code we have implemented. Okay, so these are the screen elements we have created in first form, and in second form, it's an empty form at this point of time. Second form should have ID because we are going to access the second form at runtime through controller. So that's the reason why ID is required for second form, because we have to attach HTML iframe tag to this. Through controller, we have to attach. So ID is required here at view level. Then only you can access this in controller. Okay, so screen point of view, front-end screen point of view, just this is enough. Now let us implement event handlers. Upload complete EH. That also should be implemented. File upload EH, file download EH, file preview EH. Okay, let me write that simple step 4. open object controller.js file and implement event handler with below functionalities. Object controller.js file and implement event handler with below functionalities. Okay, upload complete EH. Go to object controller. Here, let us add event handlers. For screen element, direct screen element, so you can use O event. This is one of the event handler. And file upload EH. This is the actual event handler. File download EH. File preview EH. So total 4 event handlers. First event handler is just to get the confirmation. You can get the response from backend here. So you can use O event dot get parameter of some response. Response is a standard parameter for file uploader screen element. So we can get some response here. And that response you can print it. If response is true, if you get some response, that response I want to print it. Just by using a simple sap.m.messagebox dot. You can use some information. Information is one of the methods. Success, error, warning, information. Information is one of the method. sap.m.messagebox dot. You can use some methods here. Error, information, show, success, warning. So in this case, let me use information. And let me print that backend response. I'm just printing that response. Let me save it. So after attaching file, when you click on file upload button, when file upload functionality is completed, then this code gets executed. As soon as file upload is completed, this code gets executed. We are just printing some information for end user. Very simple. By using message box. Now here we need to focus on these things: file upload, file download, file preview. First, let me focus on file download. File download is simple. Let me complete this. Here, capture input value from simple form. That means in this case, capture user ID from simple form input field. You're already aware of this. How to capture value from simple form input field? You can use this dot get view dot by ID. Provide the ID of simple form and you can use get value method. ID of simple form input field will get user ID value here. What's the ID of this input field? User ID input is ID. Provide that and technically you'll get user ID at runtime. That's how you can capture user ID value from simple form input field. It's a regular process. Now you need to construct the file content URL. Construct file content URL. File content service URL. Something like that. And pass, you need to pass that user ID. to that OData service. Construct file content service URL, pass user ID to that OData service. So to construct file content URL and to pass user ID to the backend OData service, we can use this syntax. You can use direct string where file content service URL or file content URL. That's nothing but file content service URL technically. Please remember that. To construct file content service URL, you can directly use a string in double quotes. Service URL for file content. That you can construct just by using a string within double quotes. So our OData service URL will start with /SAP OPU OData SAP. That's a common path. SAP OPU OData SAP, that's a common path for all OData services. After that, you can provide your backend service name. Z, for example, in my case, let me use Z new file project SRV. This is one of the backend service which contains all these things. SAP OPU OData SAP, that's a common path for all OData services. After that, you can provide backend OData service which is containing create stream, get stream methods implementation. In my case, Z new files project SRV, that's a service which contains create stream implementation and get stream implementation in the backend. So I'm accessing that service. After that, you need to provide entity set. You need to provide entity set which is handling this file upload, file download functionalities. In our case, I think the entity set is file set. Let me use that. File set is entity set in this example and in this service. And for this, you need to pass input user ID with /$value. So this is the actual syntax. If you want to construct OData service file content URL, this is the syntax you need to use. SAP OPU OData SAP, that's a service path. This is a service name. Entity set, pass input, and then end with /$value. /$value is mandatory. That's a standard syntax. For file upload or file download or file preview, /$value is mandatory. If you use /$value, then it will try to trigger get stream method, create stream methods respectively. So here you need to pass input, but that input must be dynamic. This input must be dynamic. So let us use plus operator here. Double quotes plus, use double quotes plus here, and you have to pass this input, dynamic input here to the backend OData service. So our dynamic input is captured here, that is user ID. So why don't you pass it? This user ID, you can pass it here. Very simple. You can give some space to avoid the warnings and end with semicolon. So SAP OPU OData SAP, that's a service path for all OData services. Z new files project SRV, that's a OData service name. In that service, I've created file set as one of the entity sets. For that, you can pass input and end with /$value. So that is how you have to construct OData service URL for file content. /$value is mandatory here for handling file upload, file download, and file preview. Now, whatever whatever file content we get based on this user ID. We get file content based on this user ID, and that file content you can redirect by using sap.m.url helper class. Dot redirect is one of the method. sap.m, that's a library in that URL helper class. URL helper class is a static class here which contains a static method, that is redirect is a static method. You can directly access that. You need not create an object like this. You need not create an object like this. It's not required because it's a static method. You need not create a separate object by using new keyword to access redirect method. Why? Because according to documentation, redirect is a static method. So use library name, class name, and call the method if the method is static method. So here we have to pass service URL, and I want to open in a separate window. If you want to open in separate window, when you are downloading the file content, you can use true. And what is our service URL that we can pass here? File content URL. Pass this file content URL here. So you can save it. These are the only 3 lines you need to write in the front end side for file download purpose. So based on user ID, we are going to download the file. Based on input user ID, we are going to download the file associated with that user ID by executing backend OData service getStream method implementation. And please remember, redirect is a static method according to documentation. So we need not create object for URL helper class with a new keyword. New keyword is not required in this case. You can directly use class name dot method name if the method is static. Okay, so here there are 3 lines we have written. Now let us focus on file upload functionality. File upload, first, whenever you attach any file, you need to refresh the security token. That is mandatory. In file upload event handler, we are going to attach the file and we are going to upload the file by executing createStream method in the backend service. So whenever you try to upload any file content, it can be audio file, video file, text file, PDF file, whatever, but you have to refresh the security token. That is mandatory. Each time new security token will be generated when you attach the file or when you upload the file. So this dot refresh security token, whatever may be the scenario, this line is important. Refreshing security token. This dot get owner component, and you can use dot get model, and then you can use refresh security token. That's a method. This dot get owner component dot get model, and then refresh security token. Security token, refresh security token is a standard method that is mandatory to upload any file content. So each time a new security token will be generated because of this refresh security token. Each time whenever you upload the file content, a new security token will be generated on refreshing security token. Now after this, capture user ID input from input field. Capture user ID input from input field. This is very simple. This dot get view dot by ID. Provide the ID of that input field. User ID input, that's ID. And it's an input field, you can use get value method. So technically you'll get user ID here. So this dot get view dot by ID, provide the ID of input field. Input field contains value property. You can call get value method, getter method to capture its value. So we are just capturing user ID input from input field. Now, you need to get the reference of file uploader screen element. You need to get the reference of file uploader. From file uploader, you need to capture the file name and you need to construct file content URL for file upload purpose. And you need to add some header parameter for security token. So first get the reference of file uploader screen element. Get the reference of file uploader screen element. So it's very simple, the same story. This dot get view dot by ID, provide the ID of file uploader screen element. File uploader screen element contains some ID. In our case, my file uploader. Okay, let me make this as my file uploader. You can give any ID, doesn't matter. Let us make it file uploader. Use that here. Ultimately, you will get the reference of file uploader screen element. This dot get view dot by ID, provide the ID of file uploader screen element. You'll get the reference of file uploader screen element. Now, what you need to do? There are two standard lines. One is you need to set file uploader parameter, header parameter. This is a standard. Whatever may be the scenario, these two lines are common. Set file uploader header parameter with file name. And again, set file uploader header parameter with security token. So these are common, irrespective of the scenario. Whenever you deal with file uploader screen element, you have to set file uploader header parameter with file name. You have to set file uploader header parameter with security token. Okay, let me take that standard lines from my reference node file. Okay, these are the two lines. I've just used it here. One line is to set file uploader header parameter with file name. And another is setting file uploader header parameter with security token. That's it. There are two standard lines. Let me put it here as comments. Let me copy these lines from here. Avoid spelling mistakes. Let me just use as it is. So on file uploader, we are adding header parameter. File uploader, we got that reference in the previous line. This dot get view dot by ID, by providing file uploader ID, we are able to get file uploader screen element. On file uploader screen element, we are using a method add header parameter as one of the method. Again, we are using add header parameter. One of the header parameter is to assign the file name. Slug is nothing but file name in this case. And then you have to set CSRF security token here. These two lines are mandatory and common irrespective of the scenario, whether you do it from UI5 app or Fiori app, but ultimately these lines remain same. One is adding header parameter for file uploader by providing file name. Another one is adding header parameter to the file uploader with security token. Now, developer point of view, the next two lines are important. Here, you need to construct. You need to construct file upload URL with OData service. Construct OData service file upload URL. Let us make it simple. Construct OData service file upload URL. So here you can use file uploader screen element. File uploader dot. There is one method, set upload URL. Set upload URL. That's one of the method. Set upload URL is the standard method. In the documentation, it is available, so you can use that. And what you need to provide here, OData service file upload URL you need to provide. And finally, the last line, what you need to do is trigger or call upload front-end method to execute create stream method of OData service. You have to call upload front-end method to execute create stream method of OData service. That's the last statement in this event handler. So you can use file uploader. File uploader dot, you can use upload method. File uploader dot upload method. So that is the final statement that should be implemented. Here on file uploader, you need to set upload URL. That is nothing but you have to set OData service file upload URL. So again, you have to use this /SAP OPU OData SAP. This is a common OData service path. SAP OPU OData SAP. That's a service path. Now, which service you want to use it for file upload functionality? Provide that service name. Z new files project SRV. Z new files project SRV. That's the service name. And in this service, for file upload purpose, I've taken one entity set, maybe a user set. This is a service name. After that, you have to provide entity set name. In this example, for file upload purpose, we are using a separate entity set, that is user set. And then we need to pass input. We need to pass some input here. After that, you can use some navigation property. In backend, I think we have used one navigation property. You can use that. NP on user ID, that's a navigation property I've used on this entity set for file upload functionality. But what is the input you need to supply? That input should be dynamic here. This is a complete OData service URL for file upload functionality. SAP OPU OData SAP, that's a common service path. Z new files project SRV, that's a service name which we are trying to access. User set is an entity set. And NP on user ID, that's a navigation property in this case. And then we have to pass input. We have to make dynamic input here. To make this dynamic input, what you can do is you can use double quotes here. Use double quotes here. Plus operator here. And then you can pass your dynamic input here. In our case, the input is user ID. For each file, we are attaching user ID as an input. So pass that dynamic input user ID. If you want to avoid warnings, you can give some space here. That's it. So here we are setting OData service file upload URL. We are passing input, and then finally we are calling upload method on file uploader. Okay, I'll give the description after executing the scenario once again. But here, let me just go to the documentation once. SAP UI file. SAP UI file.hana.ondemand.com. You can go to that. It's not opening. Okay, so here is a documentation link. So you can go to API reference. In API reference, you can search for SAP UI Unified. It's a library. In that library, file uploader is a class. SAP UI Unified, in that file uploader is a class. You can see this. File uploader is a class. So in this class, file uploader class, as I told you, it is part of SAP UI Unified library. File uploader is a class and it contains some methods. Let me go to methods. Here you can see one of the method is add header parameter. We have used this twice. One is to set file name, another is to set security token. Add header parameter is used twice in this coding. One is to set file name and another is to set security token. But that is common. The most important here is upload method and set upload URL. The two methods available. Let me check. Okay, you can see set upload URL. That's one of the method. It is used when URL address is on remote server. That OData service is part of remote server, then you can use that. Set upload URL method. Okay, let me copy this. So file uploader is a class which contains methods. Set upload URL is one of the method. There is another method. There's another method that is upload. You can see it starts the upload, which is defined in upload URL. It starts the upload as defined by upload URL. Okay, let me take this as well. Let me put it. Let me put it here just for better understanding. And let me remove other lines. It's not required. So two methods here, set upload URL and upload method. These two methods are part of file uploader class. It's part of SAP UI Unified Library. So here we need to construct URL address for uploading the file content. And to start the upload process, you need to use upload method. Very simple. Set upload URL, you need to define the OData service URL for uploading the file. And upload is another method which will start the actual upload process, which is defined according to upload URL. That's nothing but OData service URL. So these two methods plays an important role in file upload functionality. In most of the certification exams, you will find these two methods. What's the difference between set upload URL and upload method? Based on that, you will get some certification related questions from this particular class, file uploader URL class. So this is a class name. It's a library. And these are the methods. Provide OData service URL or file upload. And here it will start the process. That means technically this will internally trigger get stream method. Sorry, not get stream. It's file upload functionality. Upload functionality means create stream method. So set upload URL, we are providing OData service URL. And we're calling upload method again. It's a different method that is mandatory. It will start the upload process. That means it will internally execute create stream method of OData service. It will start the upload process by executing create stream method of OData service. So very simple, very important. Just remember this diagram. There will be at least one question on this particular in certification exams, in Fieri certification exam. This is like file uploader class with its methods. Okay, so I hope you got some idea now. Set upload URL method and upload method. Upload method at this stage will start upload process and triggers create stream method of OData service. It starts upload process and triggers create stream method of OData service by using the URL whatever you have constructed in the last line. It will execute create stream method of OData service by using this OData service URL, which is mentioned in the previous line. Okay, so that's a code we have implemented. Now let me go with file preview. File preview, I think you are already aware of this because here we have to use iframe tag. So in file preview, what we'll do is we'll try to capture input from input field. This dot get view dot by ID, provide the ID of that input field, call get value method. So I'll get user ID here. So this dot get view dot by ID, provide the ID of your input field, you'll get user ID. So that's how you can capture input from input field. Now what you need to do, you need to get the reference of output simple form. We have created one simple form for output purpose, that is for file preview purpose. For file preview purpose, we have created another form here. It's an empty form. So you have to get the reference of the second form, which is output form technically for file preview. The ID is my form. So get the reference of that output simple form, which you have created for file preview purpose. So the same story, this dot get view dot by ID, provide the ID of that form. My form is a ID, provide that. So technically you'll get that form reference here. You'll get output form reference. That's nothing but simple form reference. Now what you can do is you can create OData model and access OData service. For file preview, you have to create OData model and access OData service. So you're already aware of this. You can use OData model, new SAP UI model dot OData. In that OData model is a class. For that you can provide service URL. So what's our service URL? Let me supply here. SAP/OPU OData SAP/service name Z new files project SRV. SAP OPU OData SAP, that's a service path. Z new files project SRV, that's a OData service name. For that entire OData service, we're trying to create service URL with the help of OData model. Now OData model internally contains one read method. OData model contains read method here. So you can access that read method. So read method also can be used to execute getStream method of OData service. On OData model, you can use read method. That read method can execute getEntity method or other methods. Similarly, you can also execute getStream method here, because we have to use $value. When we use $value, it automatically executes getStream method. If you don't use $value, it will execute getEntity method. That's how OData service behaves. In the service URL, if you use $value, then getStream method is executed. If you don't use $value, then getEntity method will be executed. So based on the URL syntax, the method execution also will change. So in our case, we have to execute getStream method to get the file content. So that's the reason why we are using read method. On top of this read method, you need to provide the entity set here. Pass input here. And then use $value. So that means OData model will be executed with the previous URL concatenated with this next URL. This is a previous URL executed with and concatenated with this URL. So in our case, the entity set is file set $value, that is fixed to execute stream methods. And you need to pass input. Input must be dynamic. So to make it dynamic, let us use double quotes here. This operator here and pass dynamic input. That is user ID in our case. that means when these two lines are executed, read method finally executes with this previous line, and it will attach this new line also. That's how it gets executed. After executing these two lines, the read method finally executes with this complete URL. OData service name, entity set, input, dynamic input, and /$ value. So that is how the read method will, by default, will take this path and as well as this path. It will concatenate everything. The final URL becomes like this. This one, then it will also append this one. So with this entire URL, read method gets executed. Read method internally executes getStream method. GetStream method is executed because we are using /$ value. If you don't use /$ value, it internally executes getEntity method. So you can execute services with /$ value, without /$ value. Without /$ value, it executes getEntity method. With /$ value, it executes getStream method. So it all depends. Right, so here we are using read method, entity set, dynamic input, /$ value. So on executing this, we are going to get some response. But I want to use other parameters. Let me make it null. Parameters. And here, let me use one function, something like OData with OResponse. And here, you can use your function. So when read method is executed, ultimately you are going to get the OData here with OResponse. Now that file content, whatever file content is coming from backend, that you need to display in the form of file preview. Whatever file content you get after executing this with service URL, you're going to get file content finally. And that you need to display as part of file preview on the output form container. So that's the reason why I think you can use OResponse dot request URI. And here you'll get, technically you'll get OData file content. And now this is important. If you want to display file content as file preview, you need to use iframe tag to display file content as file preview. We have to use HTML iframe tag. But in Fiori applications, if you want to use HTML iframe tag to make use of any HTML tag, this I've already covered. To make use of any HTML tag, we need to use HTML class in Fiori application. I hope you got the point. In order to display file content as file preview, we can use HTML iframe tag in Fiori app. But in order to use HTML iframe tag, we have to use HTML class. This topic I've already covered. Now let us utilize this here. So what we'll do is we'll use something like, we'll create HTML object or HTML class. HTML class belongs to SAP UI core library. As I told you earlier, also I've covered this point. HTML class belongs to SAP UI core library. This we have already used in onInit method in one of the scenario. SAP UI core, HTML is a class. HTML class contains content property. That content property, we can supply any HTML tag. In this case, we can use video tag, iframe tag, or any tag. And that HTML object you can assign to a container. It can be form container, or it can be panel container, or it can be icon tab filter content. So this topic we are going to replicate now here inside read method. So create HTML object for HTML class. HTML class belongs to SAP UI core library. Don't forget this. Now for this HTML object, you can use set content method. And here you can pass HTML iframe tag. After that, now you can use this output form container. Use output form container dot add content method. For output form, why don't you assign HTML object here? So what we are trying to do is we are getting OData service file content URL. We are assigning it to HTML iframe tag. HTML iframe tag is assigned to a form content output. This is what we are trying to do in terms of coding. Consume OData service with file content URL and construct HTML iframe tag with HTML class and assign that HTML iframe tag object to a form container. So that we are trying to implement here. Creating object for HTML class, we are assigning HTML iframe tag and HTML object is assigned to output form container. But how to construct HTML iframe tag? So let me use it here. Directly you can use iframe src property. But to be very careful here while constructing this src. You can pass this OData file content. We are passing src with OData file content. We are making src as dynamic. And then we need to concatenate with some width because iframe is a container. Iframe is also container for displaying file content. So let us use width and height. Width, for example, 400 pixel. Height, let me use again 400 pixel. And you can end this tag. And end this tag. Use double quotes. Yeah, that's it. Now what we're trying to do is we are using iframe tag with src property. Iframe is HTML iframe tag with src property. For src property, we are supplying the dynamic OData file content URL. For iframe tag of HTML, we are using src property. We are supplying OData file content URL technically. And that iframe tag contains a container internally with height and width that we are providing. In simple words, I can say here we are providing HTML iframe tag with OData service file content. That is what we are trying to do here. HTML iframe tag with OData service file content. For doing that, we have used this syntax. Okay, so now let me check whether it works or not. Okay, please cross-check double quotes whether they are closed properly or not, single quotes whether they are closed properly or not. Otherwise, you may face a problem. And use height and width in terms of pixel. Don't forget that. It looks fine at this stage. Now let me run this. Now, let me test all these things now. If there is any problem, we'll try to correct the code. So there is file handling here. There's a screen, and let me attach one user ID. For example, 9967. Pause it, and let me attach one photograph. Let me select, for example, Ajay photograph here. You can see this. And click on upload. Now you're getting some response as information. Okay, so we have uploaded something like ajay.jpg file. But what's the proof? If you click on download, you should get that same file. When you click on download, you should get that same file technically. Now you can see that whatever is uploaded, we are able to download. And when you click on file preview, it has to show that in HTML iframe container here, inside output form. Okay, you can see that it is displaying. File preview is also working. So whatever file is uploaded, we are able to download and we are able to see it as file preview. And in the backend also, this file content is saved. That also we are going to experience it. We are going to open the database table. Now, say suppose, okay, let me run again. Let me go with another file. For example, 9968. Pause it. Let me select PDF file this time. Let me go to this PDF file, content.pdf. Let me click on upload. Now we are getting some information like upload is complete. You can print some message here if you want. But what's the proof? You can go to file download here because we are using the same user ID. Click on file download. Now you should get that same PDF file. If it is uploaded successfully, then you should get the same content. So we are able to get that PDF file. You can see that it's a PDF file. Whichever is uploaded, we are able to download that. We are able to get that content. Now, not only download, let me go for file preview. When you click on file preview, it has to open a container here. It's not triggering that. Okay, let me click F12. Okay, let me just run 9968. Let me check. 9968. Click on file preview. If the server is slow, then there will be a problem. What about 9967? Let me click on file preview. I think server is not responding, so let me check. Okay, you can see here, it's very slow. Backend server, I think we need to restart. Let me run it again otherwise. 9968, we are searching for. Click on file preview. Let me try from Firefox. Double 968. I'll preview. Okay, first let me verify whether that is uploaded or not successfully. User Y1. We are running again here. Okay, let me check whether that is uploaded successfully or not in the backend. SE11 Z files table. Okay, 9968. So that content is uploaded. 9968 content.pdf. It's a PDF file. It is uploaded in the form of binary format, rostering format. 9967 ajay.jpg. It is uploaded. Okay, but it's not showing here. Let me check. Let me reload. There may be a problem with this container. iframe src. Width, height. Okay, let me take it from reference example. There may be some mistake. Let me take it from here. Let me take this as it is. Double quotes, single quotes, everything should be closed properly. It's not even throwing error. Okay, let me click on file download here. When you click on file download, you are able to get that PDF file, I think. First time we are able to get it, but now, okay, now also we are able to get it here, but it's slow. We have to restart the server. That's the reason why iframe is also taking long time. So you can see it is taking a long time in this case because server is slow. There is no problem with the code. Okay, we'll try with normal files because this file size is high. Maybe it's taking time. What we'll do is we'll try with first photographs. For example, 88881, let me use like this, 8881, browse it. Let me select, for example, jazz.jpg file. When you click on upload here, you can see now the server is slow, it's not uploading. Okay, so now we are able to get that status as information. But if I click on file download with same user ID, then we are able to get that jazz.photograph here. Now, when I click on file preview, iframe form should also display that jazz.jpg file here. So we are able to get that file content. You can see this. So file download will open that content in a separate tab here. But when you click on file preview, it is trying to open in this form container, which is internally HTML iframe tag is used with HTML class. Now let me upload some other file here. For example, 8882, browse it. Now let me go with one text file. Let me try text file here. Fiery notes, some text file is available. Let me click upload here. So now we are able to get that, some information, but what's the proof? Click on file download. When you click on file download, you should get the text file content here. You can see this. This is a text file. And when I click on file preview, you should get the text file inside this container. You can see that. When you click file preview, form container is displaying HTML iframe tag. HTML iframe tag is getting the file content from OData service. And that is displayed here. It's a text file. Now let me try some other file. Okay, let me just refresh. For example, 888. Let me try this. Browse it. Let me try something like a Fiery PDF file. Something like this one. PDF file. Let me click upload here. Now the process completed. Let me click file download. Now you can see we are able to get that PDF file here. Okay, you can see we are able to get that PDF file. And what about file preview? When you click file preview here, you should be able to get the same file content inside HTML iframe tag container. But in this case, server is slow, so it is taking time. Once the server is restarted, so I don't think you will face a problem. Okay, so here, coding wise, there is no issue. So let me copy these lines. All event handlers, let me copy those things. So I think this is step 5. You can save all the files from the app. So what is the proof in the backend whether these files are uploaded or not? What's the proof? So you can open database table here. In database table, you can see Z files table is a database table. Inside that, we are storing file content in the form of raw string. each file content is stored in the form of rostering here. You can see this. So this rostering data type, whatever it may be the file, it can be video file, audio file, PDF file, text file, JPG file, whatever it may be, everything is stored in a common format, that is a rostering format. Please remember that. That's how the scenario is designed here. So you can check that sequence 8881, 2, 3. Let me check whether the files are uploaded or not. So here you can see this. So in the backend database table, the file content is uploaded in the form of rostering. Z files table is a database table used in this scenario. And we have uploaded with this sequence 8881, 8882, 8883. Jazz.jpg file, Fiery notes, it's a text file, PDF file, .pdf, so you can see it's a PDF file. One is JPG file, another is text file, and then you can see there is a PDF file. 3 files we have uploaded. And whatever it may be the file, ultimately everything is stored in the form of rostering format here. Everything is stored. It can be JPG file, BMP file, text file, PDF, video, audio, whatever. The same scenario will work, but internally in the tables, it is stored in the form of rostering format. Please remember that. We are not uploading the records. From Fiery apps, we don't upload records because from mobile device, we don't upload the records. From mobile-based screens, we don't upload 1 lakh records. We try to upload a photograph, we can upload a PDF file, we can upload a text file, something like this. But internally in the backend tables, it is stored in the form of rostering format. Okay, so here, we just go through this. All 3 files are stored here. And it is stored in rostering format. You can observe that. All types of files are stored in database table in rostering format, generic format here. But just remember this statement. This is database table verification. Right, so you can see after a long time now you can see as part of file preview. As part of file preview, we are able to get that PDF file now. Small size PDF file, we are able to get that. So if I use 8881 file download, now you can search for any file, it doesn't matter. Okay, we are able to get a JPG file here, jazz.jpg. If I use 8882, now we are getting a text file here. If you use 8883, you'll get a PDF file. So you can see that. So whatever it may be the file, but internally in the backend tables, it is stored in rostering format. So in this scenario, all types of files are stored in common format in backend database table. That is in rostering format. Just remember that. Whatever may be the file, it can be audio file, PDF file, it can be anything. You can also upload audio file or a video file, PDF file, or it can be text file, BMP, JPG, GIF file, whatever. But all types of file formats are supported here from front end as well as in the back end. But in the tables, it is stored in a common format, that is rostering format. Supports all types of files in this scenario, but it is stored in common format, that is rostering format in the database tables. So this is that's how this scenario is developed. If you want, you can see once again, use 8881. When you click file download, you're getting the original file here as jas.jpg file. If I use 8882, we're getting a text file here, text file content. And if I use 8883, when you click file download, we are expecting a PDF file here because we have uploaded that PDF with 8883. Okay, you can see that it's a PDF file. So the point here is, in the front end side, we are uploading original files. We are getting the original files when we download. But in the back end level, everything is stored in rostering format. Front end side, audio file will be shown as audio file. PDF file will be shown as PDF file. JPG file will be shown as a JPG file. There won't be any problem. But internally in the backend tables, every file is stored in a common format, that is rostering format. So please remember that. Now let me try with other files just for confirmation. Let me use a different sequence, 777 browse it. Let me try with something like ramesh.jpg file. File upload. Now upload is completed. Okay, but when you click file download, you have to get that JPG file here, ramesh.jpg file, that is with sequence 777. Now you can see that we are able to get that. And when you click on file preview, you should get the same file in the output form container. You can see that this is part of file preview. But in the database table, you can see, if you refresh the database table, in database table, it is stored with a sequence like 777, and 777 is taken as ramesh.jpg file. Its type of the file is JPG file, but internally it is stored in rostering format here. You can see that. But front end side, there is no problem. Whatever file you upload, you'll get that in the front end side. But in the backend side, everything is stored in rostering format. That's how this scenario is managed. Now, let me run it here. With a different file, for example, 7772. Pause it. And let me select a different PDF file, for example, this one. Let me try this. File upload. Now the upload is completed. Now, when you click file download, you should get that PDF file here. It's a lengthy file, I think, so it will take some time. But in the backend tables, it is already stored here. You can see that. If you refresh, okay, you can see 777 just now we have uploaded fury.pdf. The type of file is PDF, but the content is stored in the form of rostering here. You can notice that. Content is stored in rostering format. Okay, so here, write it. OData service used in this scenario is set new files project SRB. And database table used in this scenario is Z files table. If you want, you can open this table and you can verify. So that means here. If server is fast, then you will be able to upload, download, preview everything. I'll ask admin to restart that server as well. But technically, this is a service name we have used, and this is a database table we have used. And please remember, we don't upload thousands of records via files into backend from Fiori apps because Fiori apps must run on all devices, including mobile. So from mobile device, don't expect thousands of records to be uploaded through files. Fiori apps we can develop, and that Fiori app should also work on mobile device. Make sure that you develop an application which works on all devices. So from mobile device, you can't attach a file which contains thousands of records or 1 lakh records. That is not recommended. For that type of scenario, try to go with a normal technique, normal ABAP technique. Don't use Fiori for that. But what type of scenario we can deal with in case of file handling? File handling can be done for normal files, audio files, PDF files, text files, BMP files, JPG files, GIF files. It can be anything. But don't upload 1 lakh records through files. You can upload the normal files directly. Right, so I'll stop here. In the next session, we'll continue this, okay?